months left in Langrese, there is nothing to do most of the day but run the supply room and read books from the base library. There are no more laundry trips to Dachau. Rappaport told someone about our visit to the refugee camp, and when the story reached the captain, we were hauled in and reprimanded for unsoldierly conduct and confined to barracks for 2 weeks. Rappaport says he's sorry. He didn't mean for some asshole to spill the beans, but he felt terrible over the women in the camp. He tells me I shouldn't go around with the likes of Weber. Buck is okay, but Weber fell out of a tree. Rappaport says I should concentrate on getting an education, that if I were Jewish, that's all I'd be thinking about. How would he know about the times I looked at college students in New York and dreamed I'd be like them? He tells me when I'm discharged, I'll have the Korean GI Bill and I can go to college. But what use is that when I don't even have the high school diploma? Rappaport says I shouldn't think about why I can't do something, I should think about why I can't do it. That's the way Rappaport talks, and I suppose that's the way it is when you're Jewish. I tell him I can't go back to New York and go to high school if I have to earn a living. Nice, says Rappaport. And how long will it take me to get a high school diploma that way? A few years. I can't do that. I can't spend years working by day, going to school by night. I'd be dead in a month. So what else are you going to do? I don't know. So, says Rappaport. My eyes are red and oozing, and Sergeant Burdick sent me on sick call. The army doctor wants to know about my last treatment, and when I tell him about the doctor in New York who said I had a disease from New Guinea, he says, that's it. That's what you got, soldier. Go get your head shaved and report back in 2 weeks. It's not so bad getting your head shaved in the army with the way you have to wear a cap or helmet, except that if you go to a beer's tube, the Langrese girls might call out, oh, Irishman's got the clap. And if you try to explain it's not the clap, they only pat your cheek and tell you come to them anytime, clap or no clap. In 2 weeks, there's no improvement in my eyes, and the doctor says I have to go back to the military hospital in Munich for observation. He doesn't say he's sorry for making a great mistake, for making me get my head shaved, that it probably wasn't the dandruff at all or anything from New Guinea. He says these are desperate times, Russians massing on the border, our troops have to be healthy, and he's not going to take a chance on this eye disease from New Guinea spreading all over the European command. They send me in a Jeep again, but the driver now is a Cuban corporal, Vinny Gondia, who is asthmatic and plays drums in civilian life. It was hard for him being in the army, but the music business was slow and he needs some way to send money to the family in Cuba. They were going to kick him out of the army in basic training because his shoulders were so bony he couldn't carry a rifle or a 50mm machine gun barrel till he saw a picture of the Kotex on a box and a light went on in his head. Jesus, that was it. Dipped the Kotex pads under his shirt as a pad on his shoulders, and he was ready for anything the army could throw at him. After remembering Rappaport did the same thing, I wonder if Kotex knew how they were helping the fighting men in America. All the way to Munich, Vinny guides the steering wheel with his elbow so that he can tap with his drumsticks on very hard surface. He gasps bits of songs, Mr. What You Call It, What You Doing Tonight, and ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da, to go along with the beat. And then he's so excited that asthma hits him, and he's gasping so hard he has to stop the Jeep and to pump his inhaler. He rests his forehead on the steering wheel, and when he looks up, there are tears on his cheeks from the strain of trying to breathe. He tells me I should be grateful all I have is sore eyes. He wishes he had sore eyes instead of asthma. He could still play the drums without stopping for his goddamn inhaler. Sore eyes never stopped a drummer. He wouldn't care if he went blind so long as he couldn't play the drums. What's the use of living if you can't play your goddamn drums? People don't appreciate not having asthma. They sit around moaning and bitching about life and all the time breathing nice and normal and taking it for granted. Give them 1 day of asthma and they'll spend the rest of their lives thanking God with every breath they take, just 1 day. He's going to have to invent some kind of gadget you hang on your head so you can breathe when you play, some kind of helmet maybe, and you're in there breathing like a baby in fresh air and you're rapping away on them drums. Shit, man, that would be heaven. Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich, they don't have asthma, lucky bastards. He says if I can still see when I get out of the army, he'll take me to joints on 52nd Street, the greatest street in the world. If I can't see, he'll still take me to don't have to see to hear the sounds, man. And wouldn't that be something, him gasping under me with a white cane or a seeing-eye dog up and down 52nd Street? I could sit with this blind guy, Ray Charles, and we would compare notes. That makes Vinny laugh and brings on the time again, and when he gets his breath back, he says asthma is a bitch, because if you think of something funny, you laugh, and that takes your breath away. That pisses him off too, the way people go around laughing and taking it for granted, and never think what it would be like to play drums with asthma. Never think what it's like when you can't laugh. People just don't think about things like that. The army doctor in Munich says the doctor in New York and Lenggries are all full of shit and pours something silvery into my eyes that feels like acid. He tells me to stop whining, be a man, you're not the only unit to get this infection, goddammit. I should be thankful I'm not a unit in Korea getting my ass shot off. Half of these fat-ass units in Germany should be over there fighting with their Kaisans in Korea. He tells me look up, look down, look right, look left, and then he will get the drops into every corner of my eyes. And how the hell, he wants to know, how the hell did they let these two eyes into this man's army? Good thing they sent me to Germany. In Korea, I'll need a seeing eye dog to fight off the goddamn chink units. I'm to stay in the hospital a few days, and if I keep my eyes open and my mouth shut, I'll be an okay unit. I don't know why he keeps calling me a unit, and I'm beginning to wonder if eye doctors in general are different from other doctors. The best part of being in the hospital is that even with the bad eyes, I can read all day and into the night. The doctor says I'm supposed to rest the eyes. He tells the medic to pour the silvery liquid into the eyes of this unit every day until further notice, but the medic, Apollo, tells me the doctor is full of shit and brings a tube of penicillin ointment which he smears in my eyelids. Apollo says he knows a thing or two because he went to medical school himself but had to drop out because of a broken heart. In a day, the infection disappears, and now I'm afraid the doctor will send me back to Lenggries, and that will be the end of my easy days reading Zane Grey, Mark Twain, Herman Melville. Apollo tells me not to worry. If the doctor comes into my ward, I should rub my eyes with salt, and they'll look like two piss holes in the snow, I say. Right. I tell him my mother made me rub salt on my eyes a long time ago to make them look sore, so that we'd get money for food from a mean man in Limerick. Apollo says, yeah, but this is now. He wants to know about my coffee and a cigarette ration, which obviously I'm not using, and he'll be glad to take them off my hands in return for the penicillin ointment and the salt treatment. Otherwise, the doctor will come with the silvery stuff, and in no time I'll be back in Lenggries counting out sheets and blankets till my discharge in 3 months. Apollo says Munich is crawling with women, and it's easy to get laid, but he wants high-class stuff, not some whore in a bombed-out building. The cause of all of my misfortunes is a book by Herman Melville called Pierre, or the Ambiguities, which isn't a bit like Moby Dick, and is so dull it puts me to sleep in the middle of the day, and there's the doctor shaking me awake and waving the tube of penicillin left behind by Apollo. Wake up, goddammit. Where did you get this? Apollo, right? That unit Apollo. That goddamn dropout from half-ass medical school in Mississippi. He marches to the door and roars down the hall. Apollo, get your ass in here. And there's Apollo's voice. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You, goddammit, you. Did you supply this unit with this tube? In a way, sir. Yes, sir. What the hell are you talking about? He was suffering, sir, screaming with his eyes. How the hell do you scream with your eyes? I mean, sir, the pain. He would scream. I would apply the penicillin. Who told you, eh? You a goddamn doctor? No, sir. It's just something I saw them doing in Mississippi. Fuck Mississippi, Apollo. Yes, sir. And you, soldier, what are you reading there with those eyes? Pierre, or the Ambiguities, sir. Christ, what the hell is it about? I don't know, sir. I think it's about this Pierre who's caught between a dark-haired woman and a fair-haired woman. He's trying to write a book in a room in New York, and he's so cold the women have to heat up hot bricks for his feet. Christ, you're going back to your outfit, soldier. If you can lie on your ass here reading books about units like that, you can be an active unit again. And you, Apollo, you're lucky I don't have your ass before a firing squad. Yes, sir. Dismissed. Next day, Vinny Gandia drives me back to Langley's and he drives without his drumsticks. He says he can't do it anymore, that he nearly got himself killed after he brought me to Munich the last time. You can't drive, drum, and handle your asthma, simple as that. You got to choose, and the drumsticks had to go. If he got into an accident and had damaged hands and couldn't play, he'd stick his head in the oven. Simple as that. He can't wait to get back to New York and hang out around 52nd Street, the greatest street in the world. He makes me promise film me in New York and he'll take me to all the great jazz joints, no charge, no cost, because he knows everyone and they know if he didn't have his goddamn asthma, he'd be right up there with Cooper and Rich, right up there. There's a law that says I can sign up for another 9 months in the Army and avoid the 6-year Army Reserve requirement. If I re-up, they can't call me back at any time in the United States decides to defend democracy in distant place. I could stay here in the supply room for the 9 months, doling out sheets, blankets, condoms, drinking beer in the village, going home with an occasional girl, reading books from the base library. I could journey back to Ireland to tell my grandmother my sorrow over walking out in anger. I could take dancing lessons in Munich so that all the girls in Limerick would be squeezing up to get out on the floor with me in my sergeant's stripes, which I'd surely get. But I can't afford another 9 months in Germany with the letters coming from Emer telling me how she's counting the days till my return. I never knew she liked me that much, and now I like her for liking me because that's the first time in my life I've ever heard that from a girl. I'm so excited over being liked by Emer. I write and tell her I love her, and she tells me she loves me too, and that puts me in heaven and makes me want to pack my duffel bag and jump on a plane to her side. I write and tell her how I long for her and how I'm here in Langley's inhaling the perfume from her letters. I dream of the life we'll have in New York. I'll go to my job every morning, a warm indoor job where I'll sit at a desk and scribble important decisions. Every night we'll have dinner and go to bed early so I will have plenty of time for the excitement. Of course, I can't mention the excitement part in the letters because Emer is pure, and if her mother ever knew I had such dreams, the door would be slammed in my face forever, and there I'd be, deprived of the company of the only girl ever to say she liked me. I can't tell Emer about the way I coveted college girls at the Biltmore Hotel. I can't tell her about the excitement I've had with girls at Langley's and Munich and the refugee camp. She'd be so shocked she might tell her whole family, especially her big brother Liam, and there would be threats on my life. Rappaport says that before you get married, it's your obligation to tell the bride about all the things you've done with other girls. Buck says, that's bullshit. The best thing in life is to keep your mouth shut, especially with someone you're going to marry. It's like the army, never tell, never volunteer. Weaver says, I wouldn't tell nobody nothing, and Rappaport tells him, go swing from a tree. Weaver says when he gets married, he'll do one thing for the girl. He'll make sure he doesn't have the clap, because that can be passed on, and he wouldn't want any kid of his born with the clap. Rappaport says Jesus, the beast, has feelings. The night before he goes stateside, there's a party in a Bad Tolls restaurant. Offers and the non-coms bring their wives, and that means ordinary soldiers cannot bring their German girlfriends. Officers' wives would disapprove, knowing that certain ordinary soldiers have wives waiting back home, and it's not proper to sit with German girls who might be destroying good American families. The captain makes a speech and says I was one of the finest soldiers he ever had under his command. Sergeant Burdick makes a speech and presents me with a scroll honoring me for my tight control of sheets, blankets, and protective device. When he says protective device, there is snickering along the table till the officers give the warning glares that tell the men, cut it out, our wives are here. One officer has a wife, Belinda, who is my age. If she didn't have a husband, I might have a few beers to give me the courage to talk to her, but I don't have to because she leans over and whispers that all the wives think I'm handsome. That makes me blush so hard I have to go out to the lavatory, and when I return, Belinda's saying something to the other wives that makes them laugh, and when they look at me, they laugh even harder, and I'm sure they're laughing over what Belinda said to me. That makes me blush again, and I wonder if there's anyone you can trust in the world. Somehow Buck seems to know what happened. He whispers, the hell with these women, Mac. They shouldn't mock you like that. I know he's right, but I'm sad that the last memory of Langley's I'll carry away with me is Belinda and the mocking officers' wives.